Hi guys! So, I don't know if you got my message earlier last month where I told you something sad happened. Well, this was it. My water fairy was in 1,000 pieces. But before that, she was already melting. Ah, yeah, really. She collapsed because I didn't get her structured, I think. Constructed? The UV resin isn't strong enough to hold her up. I already glued her back once and put more resin on her, but it didn't work. And then she fell from my workbench and I almost gave up on her. But then I made new curtains and hung them up, so the old ones had to go. And there was this see-through curtain puller, also broken already, but I thought it was perfect for her. So to shove it up her spine. But first I had to clean her up a bit and had to see what I could still use for her. I wanted to save as much as I could, but I couldn't use the leaf base anymore. I had to find something where she could be glued in very secured, because I hoped the curtain puller would work. I softened all the resin on her legs and her body with my heat gun, and that worked. I could shove it all the way to the top of her breasts. And while the resin is still warm and flexible, I was able to shape her a bit, like it didn't look weird anymore, or at least to a minimum. So I had more of these wooden plant pots, and I used one for my fairy, and I filled the hole with aluminum foil and air drying clay, so it would be sturdy enough. But the clay needs to dry first before moving on. I glued some silver wire on her wings so they won't be sagging anymore. And also some of the water swirls got some silver wire for some firmness. And while fiddling with some broken pieces, I noticed the curtain puller is yellow. Ah, that was not nice. I have to think about a solution for that. I glued the clay with super glue and baking soda. And I think I got a solution for the yellow stick. I masked it as good as I could with colored resin, hoping it wasn't as noticeable anymore. Then I sorted out all the leftover pieces and broke them down to littler ones. Heated them up to reshape them and gluing them on in slightly other places than they original were. The clay was dry and I filled in the rest. Gluing the EVA foam with hot glue. It wasn't perfect, but I was sure I could make it work. I hoped I could paint the foam and put a tiny layer of resin on there, like I did with my water dragon. That looked so nice. I painted the foam with my Derwent Intense pencils, hoping that would work. Have to see when that's dry. And I liked. So I filled the rest with resin and tried to do this in a rough and playful way, because after all, she sets the water in motion. And meanwhile, I put my fairy in her place and continued with the resin using some of the leftover pieces also. I put a lot of resin drips around the base. I wasn't intending this, but I spilled a few drops and I couldn't remove them, so I made it worse. And then I called her done. And seriously, I think she's better than before. What do you think? I would love to read all your thoughts down below. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe and hit the bell button. And I hope to see you next time.